Welcome to Campaign 2025. If I sound a little stuffy, boy, the sinuses are going nuts today with this storm passing through. We are recording on March 4th. This is a school board interview, and I'm Steve Cosio, the co-host. Was not only last year, I'm back again this year. To my right, that would be your left, is Karen Marcucci. Welcome back.
Thank you for inviting me back. I'm thrilled to be here.
And today, school board interview, we are interviewing Place 4 candidate, Ana-Alicia Horn. Welcome to About Mansfield.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We're going to start off with something very simple because we're going to try to ease you into this interview. Give us the little background on who is Ana-Alicia and why are you running for school board?
Yeah. Before we continue, please feel free to call me Ana. I know Ana-Alicia can be a mouthful.
Thank you, Ana.
But yeah, I have lived in the district for almost 15 years now. I'm a mom to 3 daughters in the district. I have one in elementary school, one in intermediate, and one in middle school. They're all in the dual language program, and so we've gotten to go through one of the program of choices. I work for a technology company where I like to say I'm actually over all the people and not the technology. I'm on the executive team there, one of those vague titles, strategic development. So I've done everything from help create a department that didn't exist to just finding different ways that we can make our teams work together and better serve our customers. My background is actually in operations for churches, and I've also worked for a nonprofit that helped resource women and children experiencing homelessness or just other needs like that. I have decided to run for the school board just because I am invested in the district's success long term because, like I said, I do have 3 girls. I'm here at least another decade and not just this next political cycle. I'm here for the long term, and I am invested in the success of Mansfield ISD.
And we know girl moms are the best.
Moms are the best.
Yes.
Girl
I
mom.
also have 3 daughters
Yes.
and ran for school board for many of the same reasons.
Yes.
So I love hearing that.
I'm not a girl mom. I'm a girl dad. I do have one. I do have one daughter who is a product of Mansfield ISD.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Okay. Karen, would you like to start with the first question?
Yes. I had some questions about what is the current school board doing well that you would like to keep?
I think one of the things that the school board does well is I do know that I see some of them out in the community and at school events a lot. I know I've gotten to meet some of them there and converse with them and just kind of see and understand that part of it and how they interact with us that kind of way. I know a few years ago how I even kind of got more involved with how the district works was the community conversations that we got to do. And I really appreciated whenever we had those opportunities to really get to have those dialogues with them. I know they do feedback forums now, but I really appreciated those community conversations and being available to us in that way specifically.
So, of course, the follow-up to that is what are the opportunities for the board to do better? What do you think will be why do you think you'll be effective in implementing that change?
Yeah.
Or what would you like to see and how could you make that happen?
Yeah, I think I kind of just alluded to it a little bit. I think over the past year or two, I think things have become a little less transparent and a little bit less, I'm just going to say it. Things have felt a little bit more divisive within the community, and I feel like maybe trust has been broken between parents and the community with the school board and how decisions are made or how things end up on agendas, and just understanding the topics and the reasons why things go before the board and why things are being voted on. I think we've lost that accountability to the community and to the district of why things are being handled the way that they're being handled.
In your mind, what is the role of a board member, and how do you see yourself fitting into that role? The
thing that really excites me about being on the board is getting to set being a part of setting the overall vision. I know Mansfield already has, Vision 2030 30 set up, but something that I love doing in my day job, any of my day jobs that I've ever had, is making sure we stay accountable to the vision that we set. It's great to be a part of setting overall strategy, overall vision, but I love data. I love follow through. I love inspecting and seeing where we're hitting the mark. And as weird as it sounds, I also love seeing where we're not hitting the mark, because that just is another opportunity for creativity. That's another opportunity to bring in experts and hear what they're saying, hear from the people who are actually having to execute, and really move if we need to, because that's another student that we're reaching. That's another educator that we're helping. And so I really think it's the board's job is to keep us focused, make the main thing, which as a school board trustee is students, right?
Sure.
Every decision we make, is it best for the kids? And so I really think, of course, there's the hire and fire superintendent. I don't really see that. Hopefully that's not coming up on my, on the next round of terms. And then, of course, we're also entrusted with finances and the stewardship of all of the district resources and that kind of thing. And I have been on boards before where we've had to do that, and I'm well prepared to do that. But I'm very excited about really honing in on making sure we're hitting those goals and visions that we set for the district.
So you talked a little bit about students. So students, many of our students can't vote in this election, but if they could vote, what do you think the most important issue is to them?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the most important thing for a student, honestly, I think is the most important thing for us as adults too, is that I think people really want to be seen and understood where they're at and where they're coming from and what their perspective is. I know in a district of over 35,000 kids, that sounds pretty overwhelming, and we're not going to come up with 35,000 individualized plans or concepts. But I think fostering a safe learning environment where kids feel included, where they feel welcomed, where they feel supportive, I think that sets a foundation where they can learn math, where they can learn science. And so I think a student would say that they want to be in an environment where they feel safe and where they feel heard and where they feel like they matter.
This is exactly when you mentioned the word safe in that in that entire answer. You mentioned the word safe twice. My next question was exactly, how do we keep our students safe in schools?
Yeah, I think that's a really big issue in general right now. I know as a mom of three on 3 different campuses, that is something that I definitely think about. I think there's a couple of ways to do it. I know there's a lot of talk about the security systems on some of the older or the middle schools and high schools, and I think we're trying to get that right. We're trying to figure out how that works. It does lend its route into funding and having the right resources to be able to enforce some of these mandates that are coming from the state level, but making sure that we have the right funding to actually implement the right safety measures to make sure our campuses are safe. But then I think another way that we can really focus on safety is through the SEL and mental health and kids feeling supported and feeling like they have a place to process emotions, process what's happening. I think a part that for those of us that are so lucky to come from homes and families where maybe being safe or being seen or being heard isn't an issue, I think we have to remember that that's not always the case for some of our students. And so school is their safe place. And so really having a place where we can help address those emotional needs, mental needs, so that it keeps the whole classroom environment safe. It keeps the whole campus environment a little bit more safer too. So I would love to be able, once again, to have funding we need to maybe put more resources towards social workers on campus or even more counselors on campus, and so that we can be able to develop those resources around that more.
So along those lines, are there any bills in the legislature currently that you have any strong feelings about that may impact education? For instance, vouchers, educational savings accounts, and some of those things that are kind of hot topics right now when it comes to public ed.
Yes, definitely. There is a bill going before the House right now that it's just the hot button topic right now, right? ESAs, vouchers. I think the one currently going before the House right now that just came out is tying teacher salary increases. There's a little bit of stipulations around it. I think at the end of the day, public funds should be for public schools, no matter how you look at it. Tying it to teacher increases and stuff feels like we're playing a game of ransom with our public education dollars. And I don't, this feels like an obvious statement, but I think that we have done a disservice to the public education system in Texas at large. I think we've done a disservice to our teachers, to our educators, to the other staff on campuses that they're in front of our babies day in, day out. They're in charge. I mean, we all have a teacher, a counselor, even a nurse that like affected our lives, and we're holding their salaries ransom. We're holding some of their retirements possibly ransom. We're holding a lot of things ransom and then turning around and saying, you're not doing good enough. And so now we're going to take these funds and give them to these other entities and not hold them to the same standards that we hold you
Absolutely.
to. And there's not a scenario where that makes sense. And so I am strongly against any bill, no matter what you call it, no matter who writes it, and no matter what you name it, before the Senate, before the House, before it makes it to the governor's desk. I am wholeheartedly against vouchers and educational savings accounts.
Since Karen brought up the hot topics,
Yes.
I'm going to mention 3 words and just let you roll with it. Okay. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Outside of that being a hot topic, it's kind of funny because if you ask someone to break it down, what specifically do you have a problem with? Is it diversity? Do you have a problem with equity? Or do you have a problem with inclusivity? Because whenever it becomes such a hot topic, I'm not being, I mean, I know I sound facetious and maybe I am being a little facetious, but I don't know what we're mad at. I don't know. Karen and I are in jobs because of equity laws and inclusive laws. I couldn't get a bank account in 1970. We all benefit from that. And like going back to what I was saying earlier, how what I think a student would say is most important to them is what an adult would say is most important to them, is that we all want to be in an environment where we feel seen and included and valued. And I think creating and fostering environments where there is that inclusion and there is that equity and there is that diversity is only a win for everyone. To say I'm not for diversity in a district that over 84 languages are spoken and we have such a huge emerging bilingual population, like I don't really know what we're trying to accomplish by making that a hot topic, by making that like a buzzword. Of course we're stronger with our diversity. Of course we're better for it because I see it every day in our classrooms. I see it every day at the grocery store. I see it every day in my neighborhood. And so there's not anybody that's going to convince me that it's too political to say that I'm for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And talking about diversity in the schools, it's so interesting to me because I've thought this for a very long time. I don't believe that there's a single school in Mansfield ISD that actually looks like Mansfield ISD as a whole.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so it is really interesting how much our schools have changed,
Yes,
the makeup of our
absolutely.
schools, just talking about the different backgrounds and languages and
Yes.
and all of that.
Yeah.
And the new neighborhoods, too, all the new
Absolutely.
schools.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's ever evolving. Yeah.
So I have a few questions about money. That seems to be
Yeah.
my topic today. One of the things that I've often looked at and had a lot of questions about are people's top 3 donors. Because,
yes.
for instance, when you're talking about vouchers, our governor, his top donor is very pro voucher. So I do believe that influences his politics a little bit. So if you could share with us a little bit more about who your top 3 donors are and what impact they may have on you.
Yeah. Well, as of right now, I'm running a very grassroots campaign. I'm pretty sure my family members are my biggest donors. If not my family members, then my coworkers. They are all very excited for me that I'm running for school board. I am very lucky to have such a strong support system. I will say I work for a remote company, so some work in Florida and California, and so it might look like they're coming from those states, but as far as I know right now, my largest contributors are coworkers and family.
Do you have any political action committees that are supporting you currently?
As of the recording of this podcast, I have not received any funds from an organization or a PAC or anything like that.
Being a school board member not only takes that few hours a month of being on of attending school board meetings, but there are trainings and you're a mother of three. Question really is, do you have time to be a school board member, and what do you anticipate giving up in your life in order to be able to go to trainings and school board meetings and et cetera?
Yeah, well, I'm super fortunate right now that I do have a remote job. I work from my house. It's super flexible. The position that I have is very flexible. I get to make my own schedule for the most part. I'm also really lucky that my husband works remote, and so he has a very flexible job. We are real partners in how we handle our kids. And I will say our kids give us a run for their money. If there is something to sign up and try, they are the first ones to sign up: the club, the sport, the extracurricular. We are constantly trying to rein them in. But not only that, our family lives close. And so I'm very fortunate to have grandma or aunt or cousin to step in and help there. And so that's just another reason why it felt like a really good reason to run right now, just because my support system is so strong. And I don't really see any hindrances in the time department. All the stuff you mentioned, like I said, I'm a little bit of a nerd in that way. I like digging in. I like researching. I like looking at reports. I like all of those things are check marks or plus marks for me.
So I was wondering, when you were talking about that, if you and your husband can both work remote, why are you here in Mansfield ISD? My goodness.
That's a great question. So whenever I finished undergrad, my husband and I actually both worked for a church. And we started out in youth ministry, actually. We worked with the 6th through 12th graders. And so we worked for churches in South Dallas. We were in Houston for a little bit. And we actually came to Mansfield to work for a church back in 2010. That's where I was the operations director. He was the creative director. And so we ended up here for that. And then when he transitioned on, he's a web engineer, and I went to work for the nonprofit. We were kind of like, well, we don't have to stay in Mansfield necessarily. So should we move? But at the time, his family lived in Fort Worth and mine lived in Red Oak. And so we were in the dead middle. And so we just decided, let's stay here. And of course, what everybody says, the schools. The schools were great. We had our first kid in 2011. And so we were like, why would we leave? We are in we'd formed a great community by then. And so, yeah, we were like, why are we going to leave now that we have a kid old enough to start schools here? So
that's why we moved to Mansfield.
Yes, absolutely.
And people ask, why did you move from San Diego to
California, the beautiful weather,
to Mansfield? But for the schools.
Yeah.
And because my wife got a killer job. What differentiates you from your opponent?
I mentioned it earlier. That's also another reason why I threw my hat in the ring. A couple of years ago, when I started getting more involved in community meetings and I started attending more and more board meetings and being more and more involved with like how things were going. Even last year, I did listen to a few of these podcasts.
Do we do okay?
Yeah, they were great. They were great. But vouchers and public funding were being brought up even last year. And specifically over the past year, I just feel like there was a lot of opportunities to really advocate for our district and really advocate for our students and to really fill that gap. And I don't believe that my opponent stepped up to the plate in that. In fact, I think she lost a lot of trust with the community. We all know she was a part of endorsing a representative who is the co-sponsor of the bill Karen and I just talked about that is set to take funds out of public schools for private endeavors. And not just at a state level. We faced a local issue here in Tarrant County where they were going to do a reappraisal plan in the fall. And when the districts around us came together to denounce the plan, Mansfield ISD didn't join. And whenever people were writing resolutions to denounce that plan, Mansfield ISD was not a part of it. And I found myself having to go to Arlington ISD's page to learn what was happening for it. And I found myself going to Kennedale's ISD pages to learn what was happening about it. And then lastly, when it came time to get to vote for TAD's board members who get to decide on these reappraisal plans that directly affect the funding for our district, my opponent was the lone dissenting vote against a slate of pro-public funding education people for that board. And so eventually, for me, enough was enough. And I think that our community deserves a trustee that they can trust to make every decision with our kids at the center of those decisions. And so that is hopefully my commitment to the community for those of y'all that have seen me at board meetings.
Well, and if I recall correctly, you've spoken at some board meetings, correct?
Yes, ma'am. All of the things I just mentioned to you, I was at board meetings talking about these things, raising those issues. I am in, much to maybe my family's chagrin, I'm in newspaper articles about these issues, trying to bring awareness to what was happening in our district. And so I decided, I tell people this all the time. I'm an only child, even though I have 3 girls. I'm an only child. And there's a little bit, I have this naivety to me of like, we can just fix it. It's really easy. Like, just fix it. Something's wrong. Let's just do something about it.
And fix
do
it.
something. And so I decided to do something. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm running.
Well, just to change things up a little bit, make it a little bit lighter for you, I was just curious, what subject or class is now offered in school that you wish you could have taken when you were in school? Because I get so excited when I walk through the hallways and see all the offerings we have.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. I'm like racing through it. One, the culinary classes at Ben Barber, the fact that they're like winning awards now. They're on just Savvy's.
National awards.
Yeah, the national awards. Like, that is unbelievable. There was a cooking camp even during the summer, Alfred at Legacy, that my daughters they've done it twice. And I mean, at age 7, I remember one time my husband and I woke up and they had made eggs and pancakes from scratch. And I was just like, oh, can a 7-year-old use a stove by herself? But I just was blown away by that. So just the culinary classes. And then also, just because it's cool, the phlebotomy courses that were all just the fact. And like when I was learning about that, I think I read that one of the hospitals donated one of the imaging machines. And so we're able to do like a full body scan and they're able to see how that works. And the biggest thing when I was in school that was all the rage, and I only took it to get the AP credit to keep my GPA up, was a C++ coding class. And so, like everybody else, I made the ball bounce across the screen.
I think you did say you're a nerd, right?
Yes,
and that just brought out she's coding computers in C++.
I remember those days. I took a coding class too, and I loved it as well. And mine was I took one of my mother's cross-stitch patterns, and I animated it. So it was a little dog that walked across the screen and then went in front of a fire hydrant, and it said, "Give it all you got."
Wow, that's amazing. I was not at that level. That's
all
for sure.
that kind of stuff too. That's amazing.
That's great.
This was just a random thought that I had. When I grew up, the school that I went to, we were known as the Arrows. That was our mascot. So that got me thinking, if the school board had a mascot, what would it be?
Oh, my goodness. If the school board had a mascot.
And again, there's no bad answers because we were the Arrows, like legitimately.
What would it be? You know what? This is a funny answer. well, it's going to be funny to me. The high school I graduated from, we were the Hawks.
Okay.
And I was always so annoyed that we weren't the Eagles because I'm like, a hawk is like, if we're picking birds, like the eagle is the most. So when I was in high school, I always wanted to be an eagle. And so I would pick, it's my time. I will be, the board will be an eagle. I've decided.
Soar with the...
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Ana-Alicia,
Yes.
if someone wanted more information about you or your campaign,
Yeah.
do you have a Facebook page, Instagram, Tinder,
Yes.
website? What's going on?
I almost said all the above, but the Tinder is going to make me have to not say that. Yes, I do have a website. It's MISD.com. And you can get to my Facebook and my Instagram account from there. And Ana is with one N, ANA, 4, MISD.com.
Ana for MISD, ANA, 4, MISD.com is the website. And again, they can get to your socials through your website.
There's, the logo to each are there.
In the couple of minutes that we have left, is there anything that you thought that we were going to ask that we didn't ask, and what would the answer to that be?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's why I'm the host.
No, you are a great host. No, I think you asked really great questions. I think all I would say is that I am just committed to this community. I am committed to all students in every corner of this district, all of our educators, all of our staff. We have been so lucky with the teachers and administrators and campuses that we've gotten to be on. And I'm just looking forward to meeting more and more as I get to be out here more on this campaign trail. I'm looking forward to meeting more of the community and more parents. And I consider myself very lucky to be able to even have this experience. And I just want to thank you guys for letting me be here and have this opportunity.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for being here.
Ana for MISD.com, ANA, 4, MISD.com. Ana-Alicia Horn, good luck on May 3rd.
Thank you so much.